Hello, how many senses do we have? I, like most people, was told at school that human beings have five senses. I remember being a bit skeptical about this at the time. Let's face it, we've all been taught a fair amount of nonsense at school. The teachers told us this and many other things because many years before their teachers had told them the same thing and nobody thought to question it. The reason for saying that we had five tenses goes back to Aristotle many years ago. He linked the senses to the visible sense organs, nose, mouth, ears, etc. But it's a lot more complicated than that. The fact that he also said there are four elements makes his opinion a little suspect, to say the least. Before moving on, maybe it's a good idea to define what we mean by senses. A commonly held definition of sense is any system that consists of a group of sensory cell types that respond to a specific physical phenomenon and that corresponds to a particular group of regions within the brain, where the signals are received and interpreted. In other words, they are systems which link our brains to the outside world or to other parts of our bodies. When using this definition, it's clear that there are more than five senses. But how many are there? There is not full agreement on this. Even experts' opinions vary. Some say as few as 9, others as many as 22. I've even heard the number 50 bandied about. Here's a list of those which I think most of us would agree on. First of all, I think we all agree that the first 5 senses are sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. You will notice that some of the other senses I'm going to talk about have often been traditionally lumped together with touch. Okay, let's go. After number 5 is number 6, thermoception. Feeling heat on various parts of your body is not the same as touch. I can feel the sun is hot, but I certainly can't touch it. The fact that there are thermoceptors for heat and different ones for cold means that this could actually be considered as two separate senses. I'm given to understand that the perception of heat and cold is a comparison between what the thermoceptors detect and the body's temperature. Sometimes people have a greater concentration of a hot or cold thermoceptors on a particular part of the body. Personally, I've got a high concentration of cold thermoceptors on my upper arms. I feel cold there more than anywhere else. For this reason, I've never bought one of these body warmers or whatever they're called. It would be a complete waste of time for me. Number 7, balance. Sense of balance is based in your inner ears and is called the vestibular labyrinthine system, but has absolutely nothing to do with your sense of hearing. Infections of the ear can affect your sense of balance as well, but that does not mean they are the same thing. Deaf people still have a sense of balance. Part of your sense of balance can also be determined by sight. Try standing on one leg while you're blindfolded. Your balance might be impeded, or impaired, shall I say. What does this mean? Perhaps that the certain sense organs feed information to different parts of the brain which detect different senses. Number 8, proprioception. This comes from the Latin word proprius, meaning one's own, and ception for a sense of perception. This sense tells you where various parts of your body are in relation to the rest of your body. Even in a pitch black room, you can touch your nose with either of your hands with no other sensory input. Police officers all over the world test drivers they suspect of being drunk or having taken drugs by telling them to shut their eyes and touch their noses. They are testing the driver's proprioception. This sense is also vital when we walk. The reason we manage to walk without tripping over our own feet, and we can do this without watching our feet all the time, is thanks to proprioception. In sports, when catching a ball, the coach will always tell you to keep your eye on the ball, not on your hands. Number 9, interoception. This is the ability to sense what is happening inside your body and includes things like hunger, thirst, heartbeat, digestion, and so on. I'm not sure if this is one sense or a variety of senses. More of that later. Number 10, pain. Pain is an extremely useful tool, however unpleasant it may be. It warns us that damage is being done to the body, and the greater the pain, the greater the damage. People who have no sense of pain or an inhibited sense of pain, like the victims of leprosy, often lose limbs not because of the disease, but because they will not detect small injuries so easily and consequently can easily become infected. Number 11, pressure. Some have claimed that this sense of pressure is just an extension of the sense of touch. This is not the same, and pressure and touch are processed by different parts of the brain. After this, things get a little more complicated. There are those who claim we have over 20 senses, and they might be right, but it is perhaps depends on how you divide these things up. For example, introspection for some represents a range of different senses from hunger and thirst to heartbeat and breathing, and many more. Each of these things are processed by different parts of the brain. Another one that has been talked about is a sense of time. Is that a sense or a function of the mind? This is why, if you ask this question, how many senses do we have, to 5 different experts, it's quite possible that you'll get 5 different answers. If we start speaking about other species, then the situation gets even more interesting. We know that bats are able to fly at night using a form of sonar, another sense. Some snakes are sensitive to infrared, and many predators in the sea can detect electrical fields in the bodies of their prey. However, I think we've got at the bare minimum 11, and that's quite a lot. There is one sense that I consider to be vitally important, and although it's called a sense scientifically, it's not a sense at all, but in my opinion, it's very, very important. A sense of humour. Bye for now.